Hey my frugal friends, wagwan. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Frugality is life. Thank you so much for being here. So we are continuing our little talk about mortgages, how to buy a house, things to do, things to consider. And we're going to talk about a few tips tonight. So let's see if we can get 4 tips when continuing. If you're thinking about buying a house, what should you consider? Okay. First thing you should consider your credit score. So let's see things to consider. When thinking about buying a house. Okay. And number 1, we're going to say your credit score. It is important that you know what credit score you have. So if you're in Canada, you can go to Equifax. They provide a free one. I know people have used Credit Karma and Borrowwell, but those are not quite accurate. And then even Equifax, I think those are more accurate, like Equifax and TransUnion. I think those are more accurate. But your realtor will eventually, or your mortgage broker, not realtor, mortgage broker will eventually pull your credit at some point during the process. But it's good for you to know off the bat what your credit score is, right? So it's recommended that you have a credit score of like 680 and above. What I was told by my mortgage broker is there's not a huge difference between mortgage at 680 and 800. Usually, as if you're at 680, you can get the same mortgage as someone or that is 800, and not get the same mortgage. I mean, like, you can qualify for the same amount if you're looking at credit score. So make sure it's 680 and above. I'm writing at a weird angle, guys, so please please forgive me. So make sure your credit score is at 680 and above, right? The next thing to consider is to make sure you have at least 5% of the value of the house in a GIC. If you're in Canada, which is a guaranteed investment account, I think maybe in the US it's called CDs. But make sure you have it where you can easily pull it in if it's an investment, make sure you have it where you can easily pull it. If it's a savings account or a high interest savings account, make sure you have it somewhere you can easily just pull it, because every account that you have this down payment in, you're gonna have to pull statements for it as far back as like sometimes 3 months, right? So make sure you have 5% of the value of value, guys, of the house were easily accessible. Right? I don't know what kind of handwriting this is, so please pardon me, but yeah, that's important. So if you are looking to buy a house that is say 100,000, you'll never find that in Canada, but 100,000, make sure you have 5,000 sitting in an account that you can just easily pull it. If you have this sitting in multiple accounts, you will have to pull statements of just multiple accounts in order to show that you have this amount. The third thing to consider is make sure you see a professional. So this can be when you think you're ready, or you can be when you want to know more, right? So see a professional, meaning a mortgage broker. So mortgage broker, realtor, a mortgage broker was the first person we reached out to. So this person will be able to give you an idea of what you qualify for. They will ask you for a bunch of documents. You'll need to provide your pay stubs for the last, they will tell you sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's more. You will need to provide bank statements. You will need to provide all these things, guys, in order for and I'll go into maybe another next week. I'll tell you the different things that the mortgage broker wants to in order to tell you what you qualify for or give you an idea, right? And then they will also be able to give you a rate to say, okay, this is a rough rate, but the rate changes every day, so it will be like a rough rate, like a interest rate that you will qualify for. And then they will be able to also tell you that the amount of your mortgage, right? So they will be able to tell you whether or not you will qualify for the house that you think you want, and they will tell you what you qualify for, and they will be able to tell you like what the rough estimate of what the mortgage would be monthly, and they will be able to tell you what interest rate they think you'll get. But it's like a rough, right? It's not going to be confirmed. So see a mortgage broker. Some people go and see their bank and all that. I use the mortgage broker because the mortgage broker has more visibility across all lending platforms, so they can see what the banks are offering, they can see what credit unions are offering, they can see what private lenders are offering, they can see what everyone is offering. The banks can only see what they're offering, right? So it's good to you cast a wider net when you see a mortgage broker, because they have access to all the information, right? So all the interest rates across the board, and they can help you to get what the lowest interest rate possible, right? If that's the bank, fine, but they are able to see cast a wider net and see the banks, private lender, everyone, what everyone is offering, right? The other thing is once you see your mortgage broker and you know what you think you can afford, then it's time to see a realtor, right? So the realtor will be able to get this information, because they're going to ask you what did you qualify for, all these things, and what range are you looking for. So not to say that, okay, you qualify for $1 million, you want to use $1 million, but you can say, hey, I qualify for $1 million, but I want to stay in the 500,000 realm or range, and they'll be able to show you houses in that range, and then areas where the prices are like that range, right? So they'll be able to take you all over and show you, okay, based on what you qualify for, maybe it's just this area, or based on what you qualify for, you can see multiple areas. Maybe you need to go further out from the city because the amount you want to spend is less than what you will get in the city, which is my case, right? City is super expensive, and what I saw that I would get in the city would be some tiny box condos, and I didn't want that. So we kept going further and further out to where I was comfortable, but only in a certain way. I'm like, I was fine with taking the train into work, but I didn't want to spend like 2 hours on the train, right? So I kind of established how far, but in my head, but I was also open to seeing places that I didn't think about, and I actually ended up in a city I didn't think about, because yeah, it fell into my range, and I saw a house I liked, and we hopped right on it. So those are 4 things to consider when you're thinking about buying a house. There are a lot more things, guys, but I want to just give you these 4 tips. So hey, make sure you check your credit score, and make sure you use TransUnion or Equifax. Don't use the other 2, like Borrowwell and Credit Karma. Those are not really accurate. You can use those if you just want to gauge, but like, I think for mortgage purposes, maybe like you are eligible for a free one from Equifax. I don't know how frequently, but you can get, if it's your first time, I know you can get a free one. You need to think about having, and this is like Canada specific, guys. Like in the US, I'm not sure what your credit score need to be. I'm not sure, but I know it would be beneficial to see still a mortgage broker and a realtor, and then also to check your credit score. But in Canada specifically, 680 and above is really good. And then make sure you have 5%. I know that in the US there are different options available for buying a house. In Canada, we have we have very limited options, right? For us, up to 500,000. So let me just make a note. So a house up to $500,000, 500K, you need 5% down. Minimum. So this is minimum, right? Minimum down. If you want to pay more, you can always pay more. And then anything, so this is less than or equal to 500K, right? Anything over 500K, you need 10% of that amount, right? So if say you have a house, or you saw a house for 700,000, right? So up to 500, so up to 500K, you need 5%. So let's see. So up to 500, you need to at least have 25,000, and then 200 is the difference, right? Between 5 and 2, so 700,000 minus 500,000, 200,000. You need now to have 10% of that. So 200,000, you need to have 20,000. So that means you need to have at least 45,000. That would be your minimum down. Right? So that's how it works in Canada. We don't have like 3%, 2%. No. That's how ours is calculated. So up to 500,000, you need 5%. So 5% up to 500,000, and then 10,000 of anything over that. And then that total is what you have as your minimum down. Hopefully that makes sense. Ignore my chicken scratch, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was informative to you, and I hope, we were going through something. So 1, credit score, make sure it's 680 and above. 2, make sure you have 5% of the value of the house in an easily accessible account. 3, see a professional mortgage broker. And then 4, see a realtor. Those are my tips when you are thinking of buying a house. My first 4 tips. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep budgeting, stay frugal, and walk good. Bye.